Alright gamers, here's the deal. I've been having conversations with some friends, as you do, about tournament standard format. Maybe you don't know, so let me explain it to you. In tournament, for most fighting games, you either run a 2 out of 3 or a 3 out of 5 set. Whether that be 2 out of 3 games or 2 out of 3 matches, depending on the game. However, some games out there do run a 3 out of 5, a best 3 out of 5 format, rather than a best 2 out of 3 format. And that happens for a multitude of reasons. And that's kind of something I kind of wanted to talk with you guys about, because a friend had proposed the idea to me, what if all games were 3 out of 5? And the other side, what if all games were 2 out of 3 versus 3 out of 5? And it really got me to thinking about how the community is really, for each individual fighting game, to be clear, the community is really what decides how that goes. And as you can see, I'm sitting here at EVO 2011, where a very controversial decision was made regarding Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The game originally was going to be ran 2 out of 3 all the way through. And upon seeing how fast Marvel vs. Capcom was blowing through the morning brackets, the TOs, the runners of EVO, decided to change, after the first wave of pools, the rules to be 3 out of 5 rather than 2 out of 3. Reason being, the community had been yelling for 3 out of 5 Marvel 3 the entire time because of how wacky the game was, how fast the game ran in tournament, the enormous amounts of damage that could be output, how fast you could lose a game in a team, etc., etc. So mid-tournament, they decided to switch from 2 out of 3 to 3 out of 5. Huge deal. Definitely affected some people's tournament experience, definitely affected the bracket, you know, but it always kind of leads to what determines if a game should be, quote unquote, a 3 out of 5 game. And what it usually turns out to is the community demands it. Now, why would a community demand it? Generally speaking, it's because the game is fast. The game runs quickly. You can get through a 3 out of 5 set in the same amount of time any other tournament game would get through in a 2 out of 3 set. So that's generally your main argument, is because we can, right? Because the time is available. However, there are games that people would argue you should never run 3 out of 5 for the opposite reason. Right away in my mind comes Capcom vs. SNK 2. I love CVS 2. A lot of you probably love CVS 2, but there's no denying that the game is slow. The game takes forever to run. There's everyone holding down back. The game is very fundamental and footsie heavy. There's not a lot of big moments outside of maybe some A groove combos or some big damage K groove stuff, but for the most part, the game is very slow paced. Also, I would think of maybe like King of Fighters, with the loading times between each character being 6 characters total, 3 on each team. Dragon Ball FighterZ is another game that takes a very long time to run. Smash Brothers, the whole series takes a long time to run, etc., etc. So a lot of the time, the communities for these games that are 3 out of 5 worthy, for lack of a better term, are the ones demanding that they be ran 3 out of 5. However, while I usually agree with the communities, sometimes I don't. I do think there are some games out there today being ran in tournament 3 out of 5 that maybe don't need it. So a lot of you know that I am a big Killer Instinct fan. I love Killer Instinct. One of my favorite fighting games of all time. It doesn't need 3 out of 5 play though. I am happy that it has it. I wouldn't want to try to take it away from the community to play 3 out of 5 in tournament, but I really don't think the pace of the game warrants a 3 out of 5 set in Killer Instinct. Vice versa, just very recently, Guilty Gear Strive was on the other end. It was being ran as a 2 out of 3 game because Xrd and Plus R, legacy Guilty Gear games were 2 out of 3 games. Those games take a little bit longer than Strive does, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of bit. And Strive just runs extremely quickly, right? So the community started yelling at these TOs, hey, we need 3 out of 5. We need 3 out of 5. Don't care if it's online tournament. We need 3 out of 5. And now it's a 3 out of 5 tournament game. So it can go on both sides. And ultimately what I think it comes down to is The communities decide. The communities are ultimately what makes 3 out of 5 happen. But there are some, games out there that their community will be upset that why does X game get 3 out of 5 when our game is 2 out of 3 and blah, blah, blah. And what you really have to remember is it comes down to the amount of time it takes to run the game, the resources available to run the game, and what the community wants. So I didn't really have too much more to say on the subject. I think that we can never run all 2 out of 3 or all 3 out of 5 for fighting games. I don't think there could be like a set standard there. I think every game is its own special snowflake, and we have to treat it as such. So thanks for watching, guys. Again, if you have any ideas or anything you want to hear me blab about, sound off in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.